guys, this is Coach JZ with the Lifetime Athlete, and thank you for being here with me today. It's that time of the year again when I like to do the annual running and athletic shoe update. And so for this video, I thought I would briefly describe some of the components of a running or athletic shoe, and then also talk about some of the examples of different types or purpose-specific models. So if we get started, I'm just trying to figure out which shoe I might use for an example. As everyone will be familiar, the shoe has these parts which I think it's good to talk about very briefly. So we have the upper, which is the cloth portion, and some of those can be elastic or stretchy, and then others will have no stretch. It just depends on what you're looking for in your shoe. We also want to keep in mind the shape or the slope of the shoe going from the toes to the ankle, and see if that matches with your instep. Laces can be round or flat and stretchy versus not, and we all, again, will have preferences for that, as well as what the amount of thickness that's present in the tongue. Also, you'll notice that some shoes, less these days, will have rigid heel counters, and then many others won't have a heel counter, and they'll be soft in the heel. And again, it depends on what your preference is. Midsoles will vary in thickness and material, although most of them are going to be made from EVA foam and some of the newer elastomeric polymers like Pebax in some of your higher end running shoes we'll see. And then of course we've got the outsole, which will have multiple configurations based on largely the type of terrain that you're going to be running on. And then almost every shoe, not every one, will have a replaceable insole or sock liner that will be present. And in talking about that, many folks will replace their sock liner with an orthotic, whether that be something that's off the shelf or something that's custom made. And I'll be talking a lot more about the necessity and value of these things in this week's podcast, Lifetime Athlete Podcast, if you'd like to check that out, as well as in our master class where we're going to go over more deeply this whole topic of shoe selection. But if I get right into the purpose of shoes, I think we want to accept the fact that shoes protect our feet for the most part. So if we're only running on sandy beaches and manicured fields in warm weather, we probably have very little need for shoes. But unfortunately, that's not the world that we modern humans live in. So in any order, we could think of shoes in certain ways. And so a shoe like this is oftentimes classified as a daily trainer, and a daily trainer is pretty much that, a shoe that you'll use for a lot of your average everyday training or workouts, and they come in many variations. There are some like this one, which would be classified as a neutral shoe because it's very allows for freedom of movement and doesn't try to control the foot very much. This would also be known as a cushion shoe because of the ample midsole material that it has. We also have shoes that are engineered towards stability or motion control, and they'll often have anti-pronation features built into the shoe, such as a second density medial midsole or other devices within the shoe. This is a rapidly evolving area as far as what the research and development is showing in terms of efficacy of those types of shoes, and also how midsoles are sculpted and contoured and even built with some rockers. So there's a lot of variance there. Within this daily trainer, we also have that designation between, well, is this a road shoe or typically a shoe which might be used for around town runs and that type of application. Yes, this one is, and then this particular shoe is, while not the most aggressive of those models, it's more of what might be considered a trail shoe because it has a bit more protection from rocks as well as more traction in the outsole. So we've got these daily trainers that can be for various uses such as road or trail, and then we also have shoes which would be utilized either more for racing or training in very specific areas. And so probably, interestingly enough, what was the original minimalist shoe was the track spike, and it continues to be the most appropriate thing to use for running fast on the track today because of its snug fit and excellent traction. And if you've never laced up a pair of these and felt the exhilaration of running quickly for a very short period of time, I highly recommend it. It's definitely worth giving a try. Similar to the track spike, we also have the spikeless flat. This could be used on the track, although many of these are designed or intended to be used on a cross-country course, which might be on a golf course or on a relatively predictable grass-based terrain. So this won't be quite as aggressive as that trail model. Additionally, and I don't have one available here with me, there are shoes designed for runners to race on the roads, and they'd be like very similar to this shoe, but with perhaps just a little less outsole material and maybe a bit more cushioning, again, for a road design. We also have a big amount of choice, or I want to say debate going on these days, because we have shoes that are what might be called zero drop, or they have no height differential between heel and forefoot. And many would say that encourages a very natural foot strike and running motion. But others will prefer a shoe, and this one's not the most aggressive example, but a shoe that has a differential from the height of the heel to that of the forefoot, or stack height, that's sometimes called. Generally, you'll see these in three levels. There'll be the zero drop or the minimalist type shoes. There will be the ones that are moderate, which with about 4 to 6 millimeter height, and then those that are 10 to 12 and up, like some of the more popular models that we have today. I could go on and on, but I don't want to bore you. I think what I want to just say is, regardless of what shoe you might be selecting, you really want to consider several things, and that would be the fit of the shoe. So we always want to make that shoe match up as best as possible with our foot. And so that there are many brands that are very specific in the laster shape that they built their shoes around, and you want to find the one that works best for you. That's always so critical. And I like to offer a few tips in general. If we look at a shoe and we say, gosh, you know, this shoe outsole looks like a foot, that's good. We want to see it be narrower in the heel than in the forefoot in most cases, and some of that depends on, again, the application. But a trick you can do is you can take the insole out of the shoe and stand on it. And if you don't, if it looks like it's fitting your foot very well, and in other words, when you're putting your foot on it, you're not obliterating the view of the insole because your foot's folded over, that means that shoe is shaped very well for your foot, and you're probably going to be happier with it in the long run. But the thing I would like to say is, if you're going to run on a track or a grass field, and you should, those are wonderful, safe surfaces for training, you want a shoe that really works for that. So on the track, obviously for some things like warming up or a general workout, a basic road shoe will work just fine. But once you dedicate yourself to running faster workouts, a spike or a flat will be much more responsive and lighter, and your experience will be better. On grass, having either a lighter version of a trail shoe or one specifically designed for running on grass will make a huge difference as well, because if you end up wearing a very thick and large, chunky, clunky shoe, it's going to feel wonky on grass. You're going to be up too high and you're going to be wobbling, and you're not going to like that sensation. So you want to have something that has a nice low to the ground firm feel when you're on those natural surfaces. And of course, with trails, having adequate amounts of traction and protection is very important. So I think that's enough for today. I wanted to hopefully give you some tools that you can use if you're headed out shoe shopping in the near future. And if you'd like more information about this topic, by all means check out the resources at the Lifetime Athlete, as there are numerous articles and podcast episodes on this topic, as well as the master class on May 20th. If you can't make that class, but you'd like to bring this experience in shoe selection, orthotics, and other foot health practices to your club or group or organization, just hit the contact button at thelifetimeathlete.com, and I'll be happy to work with you. So thanks again. This is Coach JZ signing off from the Lifetime Athlete. Hope you can find the running shoe that works best for you. And as always, please stay hard to kill.